Why was Jesus raised from the dead? I don't think that Christians take that question seriously enough. We may celebrate it. We may consider how stupendous it is. It is the greatest miracle ever. But I don't think we spend a lot of time considering its significance. We do typically, Christians, evangelical Christians, spend quite a bit of time, as we should, contemplating the significance and the meaning of his death. He died in our place. He received the wrath of the Father that was due to us for our sins in his person. And that particular suffering came to an end when Jesus proclaimed, "It is finished," and breathed his last, and he died. Why couldn't Jesus have simply gone to his heavenly throne at that point? Why was it necessary for him to be raised again? Well, when we understand the significance and the meaning of his death, when we understand that he was a substitute for us, that we were in union with him, and that the wrath that he suffered is the wrath that we are due, then you can begin to understand the significance and importance of the resurrection, because what it means, what it is that it is a vindication of Jesus. Death is the penalty for sin. And Jesus, in himself, knew no sin, had no sin. But how could we know that? If we were just looking at him, we might not ever be able to think of a sin or come up with a sin that he's committed, but we're not omniscient. We don't know all things. So we might think, well, see, surely he must have sinned because he died. But he didn't die for his sin. He died for our sin. And so what the resurrection does is it reminds us that while Jesus suffered the penalty for sin, he didn't suffer it for himself. He suffered it for those who were his own. And the resurrection vindicates him as innocent. Death, as it were, could not hold him because he in himself was not due death. But it's not something separate from us. We were not united with Christ on the cross and separated from him at the resurrection. That is to say, the vindication of Jesus in his resurrection is also, even though we are in ourselves sinful, that it is also a vindication of us. It is the declaration that we are not guilty because we are in union with him. You know, Rome at the time of the Reformation, probably still to this day, grumbled that the Protestant understanding of how we have peace with God amounts to what they call a legal fiction, that we make God out to be a liar because he declares us to be just on the basis of the work of Christ, when we are not, in fact, in ourselves just. Well, the answer to that objection is found in the reality, the objectivity of our union with Christ. It is true in ourselves that we are not just, but it is also true that we are really, truly not in ourselves. It is true that in himself Jesus was not guilty, but he was really, truly in union with us. This is why we affirm that we were crucified with him, and why we rejoice that we are risen with him. We too will ascend to a throne where we are seated with Christ in the heavenly places even now. Why was Jesus raised from the dead? To demonstrate not only that he was a prophet, not only that he was sent by God, but that he was innocent, and with him we are too.